Right? Good. I can say it while you're checking the camera's good. And let me see subscriptions. Let me look at 5K10. Hello and welcome to another 5K tennis discussion. Today is March 16th and we are trying to see if this works today. Going live. Justin's behind, the smartphone camera.
Whoa.
Can you see me?
I don't know.
Let's see. Testing, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
I can see it. We're perfect.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear. Testing, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good. I can see it. Come on.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it's
All right, let's roll.
It's good.
We in?
Yeah. There you go.
It's a little delayed.
That's okay. Everything's delayed, Justin.
Let's get down. The camera seems tilted that way, but that's all right, though. All right, hello and welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. Today is Monday, March the 16th, 2020. Hopefully everybody is all right out there. But we're going to try to talk tennis today and try to pass on this crazy deal going around in the world today. We had an opportunity to get out and coach this morning. We had one of our young students out here who trained really well this morning. So big shout out to Kara. What's up?
Oh, yeah, she did really good.
All right. So, again, once again, this is our first attempt to ever do a live show. And I'll explain that reason real quickly. First and foremost, we do understand that there are people in Serbia. I think it's like 12% of our viewers. Much love, definitely to Serbia. All you soldiers out there, keep fighting. We do hear that there are situations changing in Serbia now as well. So good luck to everyone there. But this is our first attempt. And why is it our first attempt, Carla? It's our first attempt because our internet connection here is relatively, well, that's saying it lightly. It's incredibly slow.
Yes, it is.
So what we find ourselves doing over time is kind of testing the connection and see if it will work. And then we try it, and sometimes it works for a minute and goes south. So if it does pixelate or cause you issues to view it, then let us know in comments, and then we'll just stop and re-record.
It looks clear to me right now.
The show. So we're pretty good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So
I always have
Sergeant Jovanovic.
I always have a hard time.
So we tried this once before we started, and I was looking at myself off the front camera of my cell phone, and it kind of freaked me out. So I told Carla, get your phone and you look, because I don't like looking at myself and talking. It stresses me out or something. I don't know. It didn't go too well. Anyway, so what I wanted to start the show talking about today is Tony Nadal and Rafael Nadal. Once again, we talked about this a little bit the other day, but I wanted to start with this topic. So I read yet another article that seems to have Tony Nadal and Rafael Nadal involved within. And Tony Nadal made a prophecy that indicated when Rafael Nadal was gone from the surface or gone from tennis, the surface of clay, or the next quote unquote king of clay would be Dominic Thiem. Okay. First of all, does anyone agree with that or disagree with that? And if you do or don't, what are your reasons why? I'm going to start with you, Carla. Do you think that Dominic Thiem will be the next king of clay?
I don't think so. Absolutely not. How many, doesn't Nadal have 13 French Opens? Am I wrong?
12, yes.
12? Okay, I don't think anybody can even get to half of that anytime soon. So no, I think he will always be the king of clay. Dominic Thiem is about 26, 27 years old. 28? French Open might not happen this year. 28, 29, 30. How is he supposed to be the take over in 3 years? That's just 3 French Opens. Well, if he were to even win them, I think Novak Djokovic personally is better than Dominic Thiem on clay.
Well, I would agree with that as well. There's no doubt for me Novak Djokovic is a different level of player than Dominic Thiem, no matter what.
Yeah. I just don't see it.
So I think going in your direction, I think you're trying to quantify maybe what the level is to be quote unquote called the king of anything. Right. I know since I was a young boy, I know Michael Jordan was kind of, the king of basketball, but yet we have LeBron James now that's kind of culminating into, I guess you could say, that kind of conversation. I think, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, his nickname or call sign is King James, right?
Right.
I think it's getting there, but I still think it's a little preemptive. However, what is the bar? At what level do you set the bar to call someone the king of a surface when the current king of it has 12 majors? So I think you're kind of trying to explain that no one can be the king because it's going to be really hard to get to. Even I would say you would have to win 6 French Opens
Right,
in order to get
in a row.
in order to get on the list to be even the next king of anything. And homeboy, if I remember correctly, Thiem has not won one. He's made 2 finals in a row, but lost in both of them. Correct.
Correct.
So if you want to call him the future king, I think that's okay. But let's look at Dominic Thiem's game for a minute. So if you have followed this show, we have talked about Dominic Thiem on numerous, not just a few occasions, but on numerous occasions. Carla, can you?
Well, before I go there, I guess Sir John says I'm thinking the same as Carla. Rafa is one and only king of clay. Nobody in history will beat that record.
Okay, well let's look at history then. Surgeon, what's up? Okay, so when I was a boy, even though the end of his career was when I was a boy. But we had Bjorn Borg. Now, Bjorn Borg rolled off, 5 or 6 French Opens, I think, something like that. And he was a beast. Borg was a beast on the clay. But I never recount or recall the name of calling Bjorn Borg the king of anything. I mean, he was, the king of the game for a long time until Johnny Mack started frustrating him a bit, right?
We also have Predrag. He said Ristic. He said, absolutely not. Thiem is not going to have any significant results moving forward. He is missing a couple of key ingredients game-wise.
Who said that?
It's Predrag Ristic.
What's up?
I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name again.
Okay, so I agree here. One fundamental flaw Dominic Thiem has with his game is his jumping one-handed backhand. And early on, Denis Shapovalov, who has began to kind of stay down a little bit more, has begun to kind of crispen up that left-handed or the left flank. He's right-handed. I say left flank backhand. It's just my terminology. But Dominic Thiem continues to jump up and hit his one-handed backhand. I don't know if Wild Live One is out there. Or...
I don't think that's the problem.
It's a big problem.
No, that to me
it leaves his backhand wing exploitable.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. But I think the reason why Nadal's dominated on clay, and don't get mad at me, Justin. I think the one-handed backhand is vulnerable on clay. I think you're better off with a two-handed on clay. It's a grinding game on clay. We know the balls are going, with a lot of topspin, they're jumping up. That is not good for a one-hander.
Okay, from a coaching standpoint, Carla, how do we defend against letting the ball get too high on us when we're trying to hit the one-handed backhand? Well, we can do 2 things.
You can back up or you can go forward. And that's tough to do on clay if you're meeting someone that can constantly push you back, and push you back. I don't think the one-hander can slice their way out of it.
Well, you're a born and raised two-hander with the exception of a trial period using the one. Mm-hmm. I was born with it and played with it my entire life and never put a second hand on my racket in my entire life unless I'm kind of like maybe in no man's land, 3/4 court, and I got a ball near my feet that's just getting past me. I'll stick a second hand on there and try to flip it up over the net with a hope and a prayer. But that's about it. However, there are ways you can defend against that. I understand that Roger Federer got his brains picked out by Nadal moving forward. I don't want to make excuses for his tennis racket, but for a very long time, Roger Federer had a marginal sweet spot at best with an 85-inch pro staff with 0 margin of error. First and foremost, I know I played with the racket for 20 years, okay? To hit clean one-handed backhands with an 85 square inch head, I'm sorry, but your feet better damn well work on that day.
I mean, I guess we would have to ask Wawrinka, how did you do it? Because it's tough. I'm sorry. On clay, there's just too much time for that two-hander to do whatever they want to do. On clay. On other surfaces, I would say, you have an advantage, but not on clay. Clay is dominated by the two-handers. If we look at the women's side, who dominated?
Did Jim Courier have a one-handed?
Yeah, two-handed.
He had 2?
Two-handed, yes.
And Borg kind of came around and let go as he made contact. He came around with 2 and kind of let go, right?
Yeah, he does what Gabby used to do. I mean, he would hit the 2 and then let go. I don't know if you can qualify that as a one-hander.
It's like a 1.5er or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about why Dominic Thiem's jumping, leaping, one-handed backhand is a problem. I don't care on what surface. It's a problem. If I am playing the game and my feet are moving like hell and I'm running around, I'm in the middle of a point and here comes, a shot, especially a loopy topspin ball that's going to bounce and kick up on me, right? Mm-hmm. So I got a whole lot going on. I got physics, I got trajectory, I've got movement laterally, horizontally, diagonally, X patterns, whatever the deal is, I'm moving, right? Or better damn well sure be moving, right? So here we go. Now let's say I'm on my forehand side. I see a relatively easy ball or a deep ball, whatever, any ball. And I have to sprint over or run over or move my feet to hit the one-handed backhand or any backhand for that matter. I don't care. Hit any shot. So now I'm sprinting across the court. I'm coming. My eyes are on target. And I'll get militant for a minute. So let's say the human in this situation is considered like an anti-cruise missile piece of ordnance, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the American version called? Like the Patriot, I think. Like the Russian version is the S-400 and whatever. But let's say I'm trying to knock that missile out of the sky, and that tennis ball is the missile. I don't have much time to set my mind on target and to fire away and to knock that missile out of the sky, right? I don't want that missile backing me up. I don't want that missile bullying me. I don't want the ball bullying me. I want to bully the damn ball. Okay? Follow me?
Mm-hmm.
So my mind locks on target. There's target. There it is. Let's go. Let's go after it. I'm over. Here comes the ball. And we know a ball is about 2 inches in diameter. It weighs about, 2.3 to 2.6 ounces depending. Okay? Eyes on target. I run over to the ball. I'm wound up. I'm ready to release. My hand comes free, and here I come. I'm going around. I'm unwinding. All this torque's built. I'm ready to strike the ball. All right. I'm locked on target. Here comes my release. Here's the ball. What happens when I jump up and lift? My point of impact is now flawed. So here's the ball. I'm coming around. Oh, and now I lift. Now I'm hitting off the bottom of the racket, potentially framing it, or worse, shanking it into the left field. We all know if we watched Roger Federer during his younger days, how many one-handed backhands would he shank into the stadiums? And how long did it take him to go from an 85 to a 90 to a 97? How long?
It took a long time.
It took a long time for him to finally realize, holy shit, Batman, I'm shaking balls all over the place. Let me get a bigger sweet spot because Nadal is beginning to kill me.
There's a lot of people, though, who jump at their shots on both sides. We've seen the forehand side. We've seen the backhand side. I mean, it takes a lot of training to become an expert jumping and hitting the ball.
But if you don't time that jump perfectly in every single scenario, you're in trouble. Your control, your mind is saying, okay, here's my opponent over there. I see their feet pointing a little bit this way, so I'm going to go right back behind them. And then all of a sudden you jump at the ball. It increases your margin of error exponentially. And if you don't understand that, then go back and watch any of Thiem's matches that actually, where he was maybe not the better player. Let's say his Djokovic matches. Let's say his Federer matches. I think, I think at Indian Wells, Thiem did beat him there. But let's look at
Federer.
Yeah, I think Thiem last year.
Federer,
yeah,
yes.
But look at the matches where the better players on the other side of the court, Nadal, Djokovic. That shot will be exploited left and right and left and right.
I think Tony Nadal was just trying to be nice to Thiem. You know, they are friends, him and Nadal. He's just trying to be nice. I mean, it'll still be a while before Nadal leaves the season. You know, I mean, tennis.
Couple years.
He could still play a couple of years on clay and not worry about the other tournaments. You know, I don't think that Thiem will ever. I'm saying that he will never win the French Open. Never.
I think he could win it.
I don't think he'll ever win it.
I think there's a difference between will and could.
No, he will never. It will not happen. Trust me.
All right. So here's where the French Open or Roland Garros animal becomes a beast for someone like Dominic Thiem. It's a 5-set match. It's not 2 out of 3. Sometimes when we play matches, by the way, and shorter matches, 2 out of 3 sets, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're playing, you have a strategy and you stick with it and it's working and it's working and it's working. But sometimes just us dumb human beings forget that something's working and we start changing things up. And then, you know, the score changes drastically sometimes and we kind of sit back and we say, you know, maybe I shouldn't have changed it up. I need to go back to what I was doing. But we're humans. We're dumb human beings. We in the middle of matches, we start thinking about, you know, the wife or the kids or your girlfriend or the rent, whatever it is. So we lose track of what's working. So what I'm saying here is that...
I like what this guy said. Pedrag, he said, not only that, he said he will need to win against at least one of the big 3 this year. Last one who defeated all 3 in a single tournament was Nalbandian, and that was ages ago. That's true. That's true. I mean, ages. Thiem, he says Thiem, and then Stimpy Boy says Thiem will win it 2 times. Stimpy, do you want to make like a bet on that? Because I'll bet you a 5K tennis shirt. I'll ship you a 5K tennis shirt. That will never happen.
That won't happen.
Thiem will never win the French Open.
Okay, I think I would go on Stimpy Boy's side here because
He'll never win.
because look, Rafael Nadal can't last forever, right? So
neither can Thiem with his type of game.
But he's much younger.
But he not much younger. You think 26, 27 is young in tennis?
Well, it's younger. He's got a few more years in the tank than Nadal will have.
He better be hungry. Sorry.
Well, okay. However you want to be hungry. Back to Thiem though. In 3 out of 5 sets.
That's tough. You're right. To beat Djokovic or to beat Federer or to beat Nadal, that's tough to do.
Well, forget about that. To beat anyone, for that matter, that is wise enough to say, hey, this kid over here, or this young man, or this man now, Thiem.
Sir John is saying never, never.
Never, never what?
Thiem will not win. Never.
I agree with that. I'm just saying if I had to bet the house on it,
if I had, I don't bet. Hey, you don't have to bet anything to me. I mean, I'm giving you the bet. There's nothing you have to bet.
As long as Thiem continues to jump at 30%, I'm keeping the statistics relatively low here, but on the run with shots lined up, especially the down the line backhand off Thiem's game. When Thiem is 2 feet behind the baseline, normal route type rally, offense to defense, neutral, cross court to cross court, backhand to backhand, eventually Thiem pulls the trigger like anybody else. However, when he pulls the trigger near his backhand wing single sideline, and he jumps at it, what happens? He meets it a bit late and sprays it wide.
I just
every time.
Anytime I watch Thiem play, he kind of Roddick and him do not have the same game, but they spend that much energy playing tennis. You see him sweating buckets. It's just everything is so intense. Just to hit a forehand is backhand, volley. It's like so much energy. And it's like, for what? You watch Djokovic playing. He's not using energy. He's nice and cool. He can wear the shades. He's like. I mean, like nothing, but this guy, Thiem, it's like, I don't know. It's like he makes everything look over-exaggerating to me.
Yeah, and he expends a lot of energy.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like unnecessary energy. You don't need to make tennis look that grinding.
Agreed.
He makes it look. He's not as bad as Murray, but
so So there's one men's player currently that can do this and
can won it 12 times. Thanks, the French Open. Yeah.
So Nadal can play this game, and one of the problems that from a coaching perspective, and I've been coaching for 20 years now. Carla, I'm pushing 10 now.
Yeah, something like that.
One of the things as a coach that we as coaches watched, and I don't think you were quite coaching yet when Nadal jumped on the scene, but once Nadal started to get hot with his biceps and his capris and his bandana and his long hair, we would have kids that would immediately start showing up on the course, obviously with the rackets.
Doing this.
And all of a sudden the fundamentals of tennis started to change. So I would have students come out. And it went from the proverbial get set, get wound up, keep your weapon with you, move with your weapon, keep the hips and waist going, get ready, get set into the ball, finish, come through, and finish elbow at target. So if I'm going down the line, I want elbow at target. I said cross court. Down the line, cross court's this way. So if I'm going cross court, I want elbow at target. If I'm going down the line, okay, I want elbow at target. But it almost seems like almost like a contagion of trying to copy Rafael Nadal as we were growing as coaches. So what we would see is some new kid show up wherever, and this kid's getting out here, and he's got the down line shot, and all of a sudden you see this coming all up behind his head. And what began to happen is people started to hit off the back foot. Look at Sakari. I have a nickname for her, hitting off the back foot forehand. Players started to hit off the back foot a lot. I get it, it looks kind of interesting. I get it, it looks cool. And I get it makes you feel cool and free. But ultimately what happens if you're a junior player and not just a unique individual such as Rafael Nadal is we hit the ball loopy that way. The ball tends to fly. It goes too high. Unless you practice this 20,000 times a day with Tony Nadal as your coach dreaming you, then if you try to emulate that, your balls are going to be too loopy. They're going to fly too high. It's going to let your opponent neutralize too quickly. And what happens when we get a short, lofty, short ball, Carlo? What do we do with that? Put the thumping on that thing.
Well, Britt Drog says, let's be realistic. The only active player that has beaten Nadal and Roland Garros is Djokovic. He says Djokovic has lost to Nadal in a couple of Roland Garros matches with injury issues as well, especially in his younger days when he was struggling still. I would like to see Djokovic versus Nadal this year at Roland Garros if they decide to keep it live this year. I don't really think the French Open is going to happen this year.
I
would like to see it. The only reason I would like to see that is just to kind of hush all the Djokovic fans and say, okay, here, Nadal beat him again.
I hope Djokovic does beat him.
Oh, stop.
What? Homeboy's won it 12 out of the past,
So
15 years, and you want him to win it again? That's boring.
Don't you guys want Djokovic to win the Australian Open every year?
I want Djokovic to win the French Open.
Not me. Sorry.
I'm tired of it.
You're tired of it?
I've seen the dude win 12 times.
So we should say we're tired of all of these guys winning.
So I gotta watch the same dude win it for a 13.
We've been watching Djokovic win Australian Open all the time. We've been watching him win Wimbledon quite a few years now. Are you serious?
But not freaking 12 in a row. You're speaking from true biased fandom, and that's period. That's plain and simple.
If you're saying you're tired of seeing this guy win, then you should say you're tired of seeing the other guy win.
But Djokovic has only won the French once. Homeboy's won it 12. Why would I not want to see him win it for a second time?
So did you want to see homeboy Djokovic win Australian Open again and again and again and again?
I don't have a problem with it, though.
Then why you have a problem with Nadal?
His butt picking. His butt picking. He's got stinky
I can think of a million things you pick.
But not my butt.
Okay.
I don't have stinky finger.
Hey, Gene, how are you?
What's up, Swart? Let's go. Okay, since we're talking about the French Open, Rafael Nadal, correct me if I'm wrong, has won 12 out of the last 15. Is that correct? And I think let me see if my knowledge is right.
I'm sure one of the guys will correct you.
Let's see. Correct me if I'm wrong. Carlos got the phone over here. All right, so Rafael Nadal won his first one in 2005. It's 2020, so he's won 12 out of the last 15. And the people that have won Federer, Djokovic, and Wawrinka.
Correct.
Am I wrong? Am I missing anything?
I don't think you are. And I think when Roger won it, Nadal lost to Soderling, right?
Soderling was a beast. I love
Soderling.
Robin, love that dude. I remember I was in Vermont.
Hello, Derek. Derek Edwardson says, my best guess is that the French Open will be postponed. And then Maj Esaruli says, hey guys, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong.
Let's go. Again, sorry if the quality of the video is bad.
It looks fine.
This is our first attempt, and it seems to be going all right. All right, so before Rafael Nadal came on the scene...
Then wait, Michael Walker says, I used to get tired of Navratilova winning Wimbledon, but I can understand people getting tired of Nadal winning Roland Garros. But you should be tired of Novak winning Australian Open. That's right, Michael. He should be tired of the same thing. You can't say one guy, I'm tired of him winning clay, but you can't say that about Novak. Novak has beaten everybody at the Australian Open. It's the same thing.
So you're calling me a hypocrite then?
You are a hypocrite, yeah.
What's up with that?
These guys are dominant on this surface. Novak owns the Australian Open.
Okay.
Nadal owns the French Open.
I'm getting thumped right here.
Just saying.
I've been put in speeches.
Stimpy said 12 out of the 15.
Hey,
so he made a correction for you.
Hey, by the way, in New York is Michael Walker, and I know there's been, at least in our news here, there has been a whole lot of kind of stabilization or lack of being able to move there, so hopefully you're well. Mike, what's up? Brooklyn, make some noise. I think he's in Jamaica Town.
Yeah.
Let's go. Staying real. Official Queensbridge murderers out there, the Mob Deep. All right, here we go.
It says Justin likes Novak, so Justin's my best friend, Stimpy.
Look,
and I'm Stimpy's enemy, probably.
Look, I'll say it again, and I've said this 100 times before. I don't necessarily care who the person is, as long as they are, I guess you could say, playing at an extremely high level, and they have a wonderful story to tell beforehand, the upbringing, the wars in Serbia, and so forth. And I think someone corrected us on our math the other day. I think we said that Ivanovic, Jankovic, and Djokovic would take practice in bombed out swimming pools. They would, but not actually kind of during that particular time where the bombs were falling, because it would be safer outside. I forgot who corrected us on that, but they were in Serbia.
Gene said, but Djokovic lost to random guys like Easterman in 2017 and Chung in 2018.
You know, I'm speaking about Chung, Hyun Chung, the South Korean young man. I wonder how he's doing. I mean, he came up hot, and then all of a sudden he got injured. There was injury, right?
He was trying to come back. He was doing well. Maj said, I guess Djokovic is more entertaining off court than Rafa, talking about his celebration, interactions, interviews. Are you telling me that Nadal is not? He's got the same type of firepower. He comes into the crowd. He runs to the net. Runs back to the baseline. He jumps up. You tell me?
He's talking about the interview power after the match, off court, isn't he?
Yeah, I gotta admit that Nadal's interviews are kind of boring. He goes like this. Juno, I played very well, and my opponent, well, yes, he was good. It's kind of boring. I agree with you.
Okay, and I'll even further the truth of this statement. When you see Rafael Nadal off court, is it not generally on a social media platform, him diving off some $50 million boat into crystal clear water?
Carteri says, hello from San Diego.
What's up?
And then Sir John says, Justin, you're my best friend too. Carla, you're my second best friend. Don't worry. Pradrag says, guys, this year is maybe not going to be kind to all the players since lack of matches is certainly going to influence this momentum. Bear that in mind. And then Gene says Nadal has been more dominant on his favorite court. That's true. Nadal has been the most dominant. But I agree with Pradrag what he's saying. It could affect everyone. We're not getting any tennis.
So who was it that was talking about the off-court interviews, though?
That was Maj Esaroli.
Okay, so I'm going back to Maj here. Okay, is it fact or not? When you see Nadal off court, it's random things like him jumping off a gazillion-dollar yacht into some crystal clear water. Correct or right? Is it true or false? Pretty true, right? Pretty true. Am I lying or not, Mr. Nadal fan? Am I true?
Okay.
Can you just say yes?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, it's fact.
Okay.
It's a rhetorical question. I'm asking you a question. I already know the answer. Unless anyway. Now, when you see Novak Djokovic generally off the court, where do you see him? Playing tennis in the streets? Skiing with his family? But Nadal's just bare-ass booty jumping off his billion-dollar yacht.
Man, and we've seen Novak skiing, going with his family here and there. What's wrong with that?
But I don't see him skiing down the ski course.
I think it's commendable to watch Novak play with kids on the sidewalk.
In the streets.
He knows.
At night, with no lights.
He knows the struggle, though.
That's right.
He knows the struggle. I mean, he's had to struggle to get there. You got to give him props for that. I'm not going to hate on the guy.
All right, but what I'm saying, the question that Maj, hopefully I'm pronouncing
his life is
what he's saying is true.
His life is a bit more interesting because we know that he's had to struggle to get there. So, yeah.
All right, check this out. Prior to, if you have more messages.
Derek says, Milan Eric says, it doesn't really matter who wins as long as it's awesome tennis.
Let's go. I like that.
And Michael Walker said, Novak, once he gets to the semifinals of the Australian Open, he always wins, like Nadal at Roland Garros. Carteri said he's home with his daughter. Derek says, does this whole thing help Serena considering she does not have to play as much? Yeah.
However, that 6 weeks in solitude, I don't know, kind of rust develops. You better be practicing in that 6 weeks of solitude. But again, we've talked about that. Who in their right mind out there has the economical power to take 6 weeks in solitude? So to me, I think Serena at this point is kind of like Nadal jumping off his yacht during the downtime. I'm going to stick on Team Djokovic with the humility there and the struggle and strife and the soldier trench warfare stuff that's going down over there. Because honestly, if you can lambaste to the general world masses, the global masses, that you're going to take 6 weeks of solitude and just chill and do makeup, then that's cool, but I'd prefer not to hear about it because we struggle over here. Number two, Nadal jumping off his yacht. Okay, I've said that 300 times. I'm wearing it out like a dead horse. But I would rather see someone like Djokovic in the streets of Belgrade taking practice with kids on the streets under the street lamps any day of the week, 24/7, 365, with nowhere to gizzo. You know what I'm saying?
Michael Walker says next generation will take over after break. I don't think so.
Could be.
I don't think so.
Well, okay.
These guys are at home just chilling, looking at the television, playing on their... I don't think so. I mean, do you guys think that the next generation will take over after the break? I think Nadal and Djokovic and all the veterans will still be just as hungry.
There's a reason for this comment. I'm assuming. I'm only assuming, but I kind of agree with this for one reason. We've talked about this a ton of times. What happens, Carlo, when any tennis player that's polished, I don't mean, some junior that, is just learning the game and is just trying to develop a forehand and just trying to learn volleys and, just starting to get the finger up for the overhead and just starting to direct serves. I understand that. But for a polished tennis player, why is tennis the most difficult sport, in my humble opinion, to play and to succeed in the top of the world at it? It's because you have to play it every single day. And if you're not playing it every single day, then you're compromised in some way, shape, or form.
And you don't think someone like Nadal and Djokovic are not playing it every single day?
Oh, there's been a whole lot of yacht jumping and makeup videos here recently. Oh, but hey, I'm gonna freeze that there. But what happens when we take any time off of intense practice or intense matches? What happens, Carla?
We get rusty. Absolutely. So, then I also have Tomas. He says, hi, guys.
Tomas Qatar?
I don't know if it's Tomas S. No. Tomas Z. Hi, guys. What is your definition of greatest tennis player of all time?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. You want me to start with that one?
Sure. Since I'm looking at all the questions.
All right. So to me, as the greatest, is it what do I think the greatest is, or what do I think what the criterion is?
Let me go back to the question. He says, "Hi guys, what is your definition of greatest tennis player of all time?" I'll say mine quick. I've already made the most slams is the greatest player of all time. Who has the most slams? I think
okay, so it's a bipartisan question. And so you're saying how do you define the best player of all time, or what entails in the package of that? So yes, in terms of her argument, slam count.
Slam count, yeah.
No, I get that. If you look at Novak Djokovic against Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal, the other two of the big three, which is now, in my opinion, the big two, you can say, okay, well, Djokovic won so many more head-to-heads, or he won more Masters 1000s, or he's done the, whatever, more than the other. We understand that as fans in this generation. The problem with that thought process is that when we're all gone, and off of the planet and into another level of energy and another realm on some wormhole, navigating the galaxies at some point in time. What the people are going to look at though? So look, let's hypothetical scenario. I'm just born in 2030. I learned to play tennis, and I'm a good player in 2050. One day I'm getting into an argument with a buddy at some local pub or something, and I'm like, who is the best player of all time? What's going to come up is who won the most majors. So they're going to Google up and having no idea who Roger Federer, Nadal, or any of these people are, and they're going to be like, "See, I told you."
Yeah, for the person not following tennis like most of us do, they're going to look at the Grand Slams. Let me get to Gene. Gene says Thiem needs to stop his boring ball basher game. When I was watching the Australian Open final, Thiem was making a lot of errors on that backhand side. Maj says
I told you. And why was he making errors on the backhand side? He was jumping at it. See?
I think Maj says Djokovic doesn't care about anyone. I guess playing with his fans outside is the most humble thing.
And it's great. Look, there's good karma involved in that. I don't know if any of you out there believe in karma, but karma is real. Believe me, I did some really stupid things as a kid, and I got some nasty karma for that. But you know what? Karma is definitely real. And if you want to, again, spend your off time.
And I'll get to all your questions. I'm just going down the list because there's a lot of you guys asking questions.
That's good.
I've never heard of this viewer before. Yorukan Urbe, he said, who is the favorite at the U.S. Open if every tournament until including Wimbledon is canceled? All players would have time to rest well, but may be out of form. Honestly, the U.S. Open usually, right, it's the player that's not hasn't played too much or hasn't been too tired. I think anyone this time has a chance at the U.S. Open.
Depends on the rust level going into it. Because, again, we can stay fresh on the practice court, and that's great. We can go out on the practice court. It doesn't really matter if our shots are, missing or if they're going too short or whatever. We're going to practice. But simulating real match practice and setting up practice matches, even then, is questionable. Why do some of the best players in the world play 250s? Why do some of the best players in the world play 500s? When they don't have to, it's to stay match ready. I'm going real quickly back to the person's question about the greatest of all time, though. Okay, we know by the book, and as history moves forward, we're going to look back in history at who has the most majors. We understand that. But in my opinion, of what quantifies someone being the greatest of all time, personally, I'm almost willing to still say Stefan Edberg is the greatest of all time. You may think I'm crazy, but again, when I was young, there wasn't much of Stefan Edberg's game that I did not try to follow, or that coaches would have me try to follow, from serve and volley, from humility, from the overall package, from the overall court conduct perspective, from the way he handled.
Her drag says Grand Slams and most weeks at number one combined have to be considered in the discussion of GOAT.
Agreed. That's fair enough. But still, your number one variable there and your hypothesis must be slam count. And I get that weeks at number one can be great too, but that is slightly flawed on the weeks at number one. How long was Marcelos Rios number one in the world?
I don't remember.
Do you remember Marcelos Rios?
I don't even remember his style of play because I thought he was irrelevant.
He was a grinder, kind of Agassi-like, but not as good. But was number one in the world, very much like Wozniacki was in her early part of her career, winning a lot of smaller tournaments, playing, kind of like the trajectory of Felix Auger-Aliassime, playing a lot of tournaments. Obviously, he hasn't made any jumps. He's made some. I think
well, this is a good time for him to chill and kind of refresh and get back into it because I thought he was playing a lot of tennis.
This type of break hurts someone like young Felix, though. I love his demeanor. He has a very nice court etiquette. But
this is where you get buddies. practice matches. Start getting people together and practice.
Set up something with Chapo or something.
Yeah, Gene says Thiem trains too hard, in my opinion. He looks thin on his body. I think we discussed this last time. I'm going back to there's a lot of
questions. Roll it out. Let's go.
Ragna Bernarduc says, what is the probability of happening all 4 slams? I guess of all the slams happening in 2020.
I would think very low.
Very low. I don't think the French, according to how this is going, nor the Wimbledon's going to happen. I mean, the women's has been delayed to what, May?
Oh, that's good. You mentioned that. So prior to starting this, we did read that the WTA, that's the women's tour, has been now officially postponed until, what was it, May
sometime
May
May
the 2nd.
Yeah.
So we know that Roland Garros, I don't. The whole change from the name Roland Garros from the French Open always throws me for a loop. I'm going to stick with the French Open because that's what I know it to be. But if the French Open starts the latter part of May, I think it's somewhere like May 17th or 24th or something, and you're just putting people back on the traveling map on May the 2nd. What are the worries that go on in these athletes' minds? You know, hey, I've been locked up for now X amount of months, and now I'm free to roam. But wait a minute, can this all go south again? Like,
I don't think anybody's
hold up.
I don't think anybody's going to be ready for the French Open. I don't think it'll happen. It just won't happen. I don't even see why the reason that they keep saying no, it's not going to be canceled. We're not planning on postponing it or canceling it. It's not going to happen. It looks bad here. It looks bad over there. It looks bad everywhere.
Yeah, it looks like hell in a handbasket, at least around yonder, around these parts. I mean, I can't even find a square of toilet paper at the local Family Dollar.
We can't, literally.
Yeah.
Eurocon, everybody say Nadal literally helped his island recover, or helped his island recover from a flood. Mallorca donated money and shoveled mud out. So they all do great, humble things. And Maj said Djokovic is more spontaneous. That is true. I mean, I think they're all
Factual.
great. Ranja Bernarduc says, do you think Novak Djokovic will win more than 21 slams, factoring all the factors? Does Roger Federer have any chance? I think Roger Federer
let's talk about it. This is a good question. We've come across it before. In my opinion, I think Rafael Nadal. Now, this cancellation of potentially this French Open, I think, is detrimental to Rafael Nadal's slam count. If the French doesn't happen,
hey Rahesh,
what's up? Make some noise. What's up, Rahesh?
There's somebody also named Hi. We'll get to your question in a second.
All right, so for Rafael Nadal, this French Open is detrimental. Rafael Nadal, I don't think will have the rust factor jumping onto the clay because that's what he is legitimately king of, right? So if the French Open is skipped, now I think golf, Augusta, the Masters, right, respectively, I think it has been postponed to a later date. So I don't know if it's possible in tennis to postpone a tournament to a later date because of you're treading on other tournaments' territory.
Yeah.
However, but you are at the same time in golf, and the Masters is the biggest in the business outside of the British Open, the US Open, the PGA Championship, which I think is kind of scattered around. But nonetheless, it's really hard to postpone a tennis tournament because of venue, what may be planned there, and coaches that teach there, and so forth. Been through it for different reasons, hurricanes namely here. But for Rafael Nadal, I think he has 2, maybe 3 more French Opens left in him, and I don't think a major on any other surface. So 3 meaning if this French Open happens, 2021 and 2022, if he preserves his body, fitness, mentally, injuries, etc. In a perfect world, he gets 3 more if it happens this year. If it doesn't happen, I think he gets 2 more and finishes with 21 if he remains healthy, right? If Novak Djokovic stays healthy, I still think that the French may elude him only because, and I have this written in for a little bit later, only because prior to Rafael Nadal on clay winning 12 out of 15, and I have the previous 16 winners prior to Rafael Nadal written down, there's hit or miss, a lot of different people. There's some, couriers in there that win a couple, and Curtin, I think, that won 3. But outside of those, you got a Chang, and you got Bruguera. I think Bruguera actually won 2, and so forth. But it's a lot more hit or miss. And Djokovic is not a hit or miss player, but I think on the surface, it kind of levels the playing field for dirt ballers.
Yeah,
do you see what I'm saying?
But he's saying, what do you think Novak will 21 or more slams because of everything that's going on? I think it's going to be tougher now to get to those 21.
He's at 17. If the U.S. Open does occur.
And see what I told you guys. You guys don't remember what I said in the beginning. How can you guys assure yourself that he's going to win 4 more? Life is funny. Things happen. And here we are. Here's an example of life happening.
Yes, but
last year we said he was going to win 4.
But
this year we said he's going to win 4. Life just happened.
Okay, but I think your context is shit here. I don't.
Context is shit.
Okay, you're saying because
everybody said Novak will have 20 by the end of the year. We're not going to play the French. Watch Wimbledon not happen.
But the reason why I'm saying it's shit, no, sorry, excuse the language, it's because that this is an event that players are dealing with that they have no control over.
They have no control.
It does not affect their body. At least they're healthy. If anything, it gives them more recuperation time, correct? Mm-hmm. So if you were telling me that Novak Djokovic just blew out his ankle, playing with the kids on the streets in Serbia, I'd say, oh man, now we need to think about it. But as long as body and mind are okay, I'm not terribly worried about the time off. If he was injured, then it would be a different story. If he was still, holding his elbow like he wasn't,
I get it.
Then it's a different story.
And I think Roger would be just fine anyways. He's recovering from an injury. For him, this doesn't matter. I mean.
Well, I think Federer will be just fine moving forward as a businessman and individual, but he's not gonna win another major. And I'll take that bet to the bank any day of the week. If someone wants to bet me that Roger Federer makes, and look, I'm so broke I can't even pay attention. But nonetheless, if you want to bet like a,
I really hate when you use that terminology. So stupid.
I mean, whatever. If you want to take a bet for maybe a set of strings or a T-shirt, and I'll eat the shipping. But if you want to take a friendly bet, or maybe if I lose, then I'll dress up like an idiot on the show. Whatever you say, I'll do. Whatever. I'll go to the local costume shop and pull this thing off. Let's go, because I will. Let's go. I don't care. Let's get down.
Michael said, didn't Serena Venus create hitting their backhands off their back foot? They did. I can hit it.
But
I can hit it off my back foot, but you got to be very strong.
And this is a good knowledge drop. He is very, very much on point here. But what's the inherent difference between them and everybody else that do that?
They're built different.
They had the power to do so.
You got to be built a certain way.
Exactly.
To do it.
So look at Sakari, and I pick on Sakari a lot because if you look at her forehand, she has the strength. We all know. Look at her. She looks like she's swole. Looks like swole as a goal.
She looks like Terminator.
But her forehand is so loopy and lacks penetration power at least 75% of the time because she hits it off the back foot and tries to pull the Nadal follow through. She's robotic, and she hits that loopy forehand that we were talking about earlier.
Stimpy Boy says, breaking news, guys. Novak is tested positive for being the GOAT.
Let's go! Comment of the day right there. Comment of the day.
Hi said, watch y'all videos about the weak era, and I disagree. The last 10 years were much better players than when Federer started. GOAT player. That's why he won so many slams early on. Great channel, though. And he says, I think he says here, he
has a great channel, though.
Just wanted to add, I'm not a Federer hater. His style of play, and his style of playing a player is really a great player.
So Hi's like, yeah, well, I disagree, but good channel, though. Like, keeping it real. I get that, but I disagree.
How can you say that?
I disagree.
We went back and forth about this.
Yeah, I disagree.
He won so many slams because it was a weak era. How is this his fault?
Well, okay, but
how is this his fault? I mean, come on now. We can say the same thing about Sever is weak, mentally weak, Medvedev's mentally weak, Thiem is whatever. I mean, come on.
Roddick's weak, Hewitt's weak.
They're all weak. It's just that Novak, Nadal, and Federer make it look like they are Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I do love that. Great channel, though. It's all good, though. It's like, man, I hate your shoes. You look like ass today, man. You need to change your shirt. I still love you, though.
Let's see. Michael Walker also says Novak, Nadal, and Williams sisters create offensive defensive. They can play offensive shots from defense positions. I think that's what makes them good, Novak and Nadal. They can definitely do that. Derek Edwardson says, I feel terrible for Clijsters. What a horrible time to come out of retirement.
Well, Clijsters needs to get back in shape. And look, Carla can definitely empathize with Kim Clijsters. Kim Clijsters had, I think, 3 children?
3 children, yeah.
3 children. Carla's had 5.
Mm-hmm.
Carla has been able to get back into playing form after every single one of those, I know.
This has been my toughest one, though.
I think number 5 now has been the toughest for you. Now, I will say this, and I don't mean to get in your personal business live on this deal, But there was a time where you were in a better shape after our fifth child, and then you kind of regressed back. So,
yes. But I think it had to do with your injury. I can't play tennis every day too.
Yeah, you got.
I got back in shape, and then I went back, and now I'm trying to get back in shape again.
Yeah, so you are correct. Carla and I would schedule matches to play.
We play every day.
We would wake up when the sun comes up before the kids did anything. We'd go out to the courts and we would play lights out matches, 2 out of 3 sets, and we would get down. We would walk out there, the fence would shut. We wouldn't say nothing. We would just fight. And that's when I blew out my knee. And luckily that day there was a couple people passing by, but we were in this just tooth and nail fight, and I got mad. She had me really mad. I was just pissed at the world. I was like, damn, she was beating me badly that day, actually. And actually it was match point.
I could definitely understand her, but I've never looked like her. I just gotta say, I've never looked like her.
Yeah, even right after.
Never looked like her.
Even right after popping the baby out, like Jiffy Pop, she was still she wasn't quite that bad.
Nah.
But in that tooth and nail battle, it was match point against me. And I ran to the net, served and volleyed, and she shot up a lob over my head. And because people were watching, I figured I had to try to show out at 42. Let's go! That's how I roll. Damn, just getting down. Who cares? Go big or don't go at all. So I jumped up for a lob, and I really got higher up there than I thought that I intended to go. And I swung and missed. Really hard, I swung and missed at an overhead, and it threw me off balance, and I came down, snapped my leg, blew out my patellar tendon, cracked my wrist, broke my wrist on the way down, and the rest is history. But nonetheless.
Let me get to the next.
Yeah,
Jude,
go ahead.
Jude Orpia says, "Hi Carla, always great fun listening, watching you guys. Much love. Double crisscross. Come on, vamos.
Crisscross will make you jump, jump. Daddy Mac will make you jump, jump."
And then Ranja says, "Which player reached the highest level at his best?"
Who?
I don't know. That's the question. Which player reached the highest level at his best?
I'm gonna.
Historically,
you have to say Djokovic.
Djokovic, yeah, hands down, definitely.
I think that's a non-arguable conversation. You can go back to Borg.
I can't even argue with that.
You can go to Sampras. You could. Federer would be close, but the fact of the matter is Federer did not have, and this is the only one.
Dog says, "Let's not compare eras. That's pointless." I agree with you.
I agree.
That's pointless. We've talked about,
and we've done that, and we have. So if someone compares eras, they can go back and look at some of those titles. I think one of our videos was Rogers Federer's era week or something like that. So there's plenty of those out there.
Tomas says, "Who will be next out of the big three to win a Grand Slam?"
Djokovic.
Out of the big three, he says. Out of the big three.
Djokovic, unless the French Open happens this year, and even then, it's still questionable.
I don't know. I can't. Gene Stewart says, "Just look at the." Swart says, "Just look at the head-to-head Nadal Djokovic. Their matches on clay were very competitive over the years. Djokovic had a lot of chances to beat Nadal, but Nadal was just beast mode." That's true. I mean, it is his surface. That's Nadal's surface. Just like when Nadal plays Djokovic at the Australian Open, I'd almost bet always on Novak to win that.
His spin on the ball, his habitual late shots, Rafael Nadal. His Uncle Tony will tell you, I wouldn't want to train one of our other students hitting like Rafael Nadal does, because most people can't do that. The mechanics aren't there. It's just a different cup of tea, right?
Michael Walker says, "GOAT should be your entire resume, not counting slams. Stefan Edberg forehand was terrible. His serve was extremely weak compared to Becker or Sampras. Sampras was a much better player than Edberg." He says, "Now if GOAT is based on good looks and aging, well, and nice leg, then Edberg
Okay, so
I agree. He won in the looks. He aged well.
Yeah, but
I can't consider Edberg GOAT at all.
Well, no.
But you said that.
I said it in terms of me. Not and all of you. I guess half the people out of there have never even seen him play. But for me, the greatest of all time involves, in my mind, just me as an individual, involves the entire package. Are you a gentleman? Have you smashed any rackets? Have you jerked off a water bottle?
Do you know Edberg coaches Michael Weimer? He's his coach now.
The Swedish, the young kid. It's Ymer. I think it's Ymer. And I've seen this young kid play a couple of times. I think he's still hanging around the challenger circuits, though.
Terry says, "Let's go. Go Novak.
Let's go."
Maj says, "Grand Slams are the last thing to predict. It's extremely tough to win a slam. You need to be fit, win 7 matches. See Joker, 2019 U.S. Open? Everyone says he will win, but his body let him down." That's true, and that's why I never picked Djokovic. I knew Djokovic would not win the U.S. Open because he had played so much tennis, just won Wimbledon, and then he was winning all these, the Masters, I figured he would be tired.
All right, real quickly back to Rafael Nadal. Prior, go ahead with questions.
Well,
yeah.
what is going to happen? Derek says, what's going to happen with the tennis rankings? And Sean said the same thing.
We have that.
What will happen with ATP rankings? Does number of weeks at number one counting despite suspension of all tournaments?
We have that.
Okay, we'll talk about
it. It was a couple of days ago, and I think it was Sean Vantajuve out there, and I hope I pronounced that right, asked us what would happen with the rankings. The reason why we never did anything about the rankings is because it was a hypothetical answer. You have the ATP, you have the WTA, two different entities entirely. You have them both trying to make decisions about what to do and what not to do. And the reason being, it has nothing to do with the players. It has to do with business and money and the economy.
Michael corrected you. He said Weimer is 75 now. His brother's 125.
In the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I know the one I'm thinking of, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a young brother, got little dreadlocks, and it's just a solid young player. If that's what I'm thinking about, the player that I'm thinking about, let me know. I love this kid. I think he has talent. He has spunk. He has kind of that Nadalish kind of that vibe on the court, but he's a little thin for me. If that's true, let Carla know. I can't see that. I tried it earlier on the test run, and looking at myself was all jacked up, so I had to flip the camera around. But I think Michael Ymer is
they are brothers.
Yeah.
Elsie Meyer and Michael Meyer both have dreads.
and that's good. Look, I had dreads in 2000, 2001, and 2002, believe it or not. I won't get into that part of my life because maybe you would unsubscribe. But yeah, I've been through some certain things. But on some time away, I had dreads the whole time. And it encompassed a couple of years. But nonetheless, I hope that Stefan Edberg shares some of his humility, some of his court conduct, some of his passion and joy for the game with these young men, and leads them in the right direction. Why do I think Stefan Edberg is the greatest player in my mind? Because his overall game is the game I was raised on. I was raised a serve and volleyer. It wasn't until just prior to me meeting you, Carla, where I started hitting from the baseline. I mean, my game until I was, born in 77, probably until late 80s. And we played every day for hours on end and traveled the country hitting tennis balls in tournaments. But my game was serving. I'm in. I don't care if first or second serve. I'm in. I'm coming.
You can't really do that now.
So it's difficult to do. So just prior to me meeting you, I was literally having other coaches that I coaches with that were raised on a different type of trajectory, newer coaches to the game. In other words, I had to swallow my pride and be like, hold up, bro. I need to get this semi-Western, full Western grip going instead of this kind of continental Eastern and kind of tweak this game a little bit. I picked it up within days because I get the game. But nonetheless, that transition was difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But Edberg epitomized on court, off court. I'm a firm believer in wearing all white on a tennis court, at least at certain. I don't like throwing on, like camouflage, pink cow looking outfits. I just usually stick with the all white.
Michael Walker said Edberg is Swedish. He behaved exactly like Borg, quiet and boring. Disagree with you.
Yeah,
Disagree. He was elegant. He walked in. It was elegant to watch him. He was a gentleman.
Yeah,
he was like, to me, when I watch Edberg, and you watch these Disney movies, Cinderella, he's that prince that was gonna carry you everywhere. And that's just how I used to. What I thought of him.
Yeah, and I never thought of Borg as boring. Borg kind of deviated off into the party scene there for a while. So if Borg was boring, then I don't know if he would be wrapped up in the party scene like he was. Borg became, and you're in New York, Michael Walker. I know a lot of his partying went down in that neck of the woods. The war halls and the elite nighttime scenes, and that was a big part of his demise, in my opinion. But correct me if I'm wrong. I was a boy then, so I may be wrong. But Borg I never thought was boring. I thought he was a tactician. I thought he was a maestro. I thought he was a one that could place the ball wherever. I thought he had had a brilliant game, brilliant movement. But I felt like when Johnny Mack started kind of testing his equilibrium as a human being, I felt like he was already kind of in that scene too much, the nightlife, the parties, the maybe not sleeping that much and so forth. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's just my opinion. I don't find he was boring. I just feel like he was kind of Federer-esque and quiet and thinking.
He said Borg was good, but he was extremely quiet in court. But after the court, he partied with Vitas.
Vitas Gerulaitis.
Why would you ask me that? Let's get to the ranking points before I get to these questions. Some of these questions are funny.
All right, real quickly on the ranking points. So the reason why we haven't answered this is for two reasons. One, what to do, what are they doing, what are they not doing? So there's two different hypothetical scenarios. One, first of all, wait a minute, stop. let's talk about how the point system works in any sport for that matter. Generally, man, maybe some of them are different. There's 52 weeks in a year. Tournaments and fights and whatever take place. Hockey matches, baseball, whatever. It takes place 52 weeks a year, and it's a rotating point system. I think NASCAR is pretty racing. I'm not big on that, but I kind of keep up with the rules and stuff. But it kind of follows a 52-week pattern, and whether or not the player plays the tournament the following year, or if the tournament just no longer exists the following year, then points will be deducted, remain the same, or negated for everyone across the board to maintain fairness. Now, we understand that there is a global pandemic at this point going, so the tournament's not happening. So the model is this. So do we cancel and pause all the rankings? Okay, we can do that. If it pauses, there's not going to be much of a change in anything. I think Dominic Thiem, from what I hear, will suffer the worst if it freezes at this point.
Right. Everything else pretty much stays the same.
Everything would stay kind of the same. However, if it does not freeze, then you're going to have, the points that are going to keep rolling, and whether it's computers or algorithms or just people sitting down with a pen and paper, whatever. But then points will start to change, and I think then still Dominic Thiem would have the biggest sacrifice to lose because of his role on clay last year. So I think no matter what happens, you're still going to have Novak Djokovic at the top. You're still going to have Nadal at 2. You will have Thiem still at 3 if points freezes. That might change if they don't freeze. Federer is going to either be mighty happy if they do freeze it, and therefore he's going to kind of hang the same. Mm-hmm. But if they continue to roll the points, then Federer may drop much, much further back. I don't think for Federer it matters either way, because even if he drops I'm just going to make up a number, to 15 or 20 in the world, yes, he'll meet a higher seeded opponent earlier on in whatever major that he plays, but I still don't think with his hurt back, old man winter setting in, and not having the ability to get past the semifinals or finals of any major moving forward, I still do think that the early on seeds won't be a problem for him. Namely, let's say in the second round now he has to meet Benoit Pierre instead of Steve. Let's say in the second round he has to meet Monfils and not Millman again. But what happened to last time he faced Millman? It didn't go too well, right? Mm-hmm. So if he can't, he got beat by Millman once, almost got beat by him again, got 7 match points against Tennis Sandgren, and you still want to call him in the big 3? I think it's more like big business still trying to keep his dollars rolling.
Anyways, Tomas says, thank you guys. Who will be next, excluding the big 3 to win a Grand Slam? Excluding.
We already had that with Thiem earlier, though.
Thiem, you think is going to be the next one to win a
Slam? I think Thiem could be the next person to win the French Open.
I think...
a young player I like a lot is Kekmanovic, the young Serbian.
I think out of the 3, I think it'll be a veteran, someone that's been on the tour for a while.
Such as?
Like a Wawrinka, somebody that might surprise us, a veteran.
I think, again, in a crazy betting world, I think I would I think someone like this young Kekmanovic player. If you guys don't know who Kekmanovic is, he's a beast. Watch this kid, Kekmanovic, though. A lot of the big 3, by the way, want to practice with him because of it.
Hi says, my point is you can't compare, with all due respect, Safin, Marty Fish, and say they're better than example for Murray and Sanga, etc. But anyways, maybe just me, laugh out loud, Djokovic is GOAT.
Well, Marty Fish need not be. Marty Fish.
I don't think he was in that discussion.
Yeah, Marty Fish is someone I've met and have known over the years. I've hit balls with Marty Fish. There was a couple events that the Bryan brothers and Andy Roddick. And who else was there?
I think Djokovic wants to win 4 more Wimbledons to please Great Britain crowd, Tomas says. I don't know about that. Sir John says, Laszlo Giri or Kekmanovic? One of the 2.
Kekmanovic, I think, is the better player. I think Giri has, I think, a game that's levels the playing field on clay. But this kid Kekmanovic, he's lights out. Do some research on this kid Kekmanovic.
Yeah, he is. I like him. Maj says, what do you think about the Williams sister styles? They had the easiest play style to win. They just hit big. I know it needs body strength, but why is there no player in their style? I mean, you've got Andreescu, who hits just as big as them.
Coco Gauff's aspiring to go there.
She's not as big and strong as they were.
She'll get there. She's young. She's a baby. She'll get there.
But I think that the Williams sisters...
I'll be right back. Keep it up.
I think I could see it here.
Yeah.
I think that the Williams sisters came out fine because they came out during a time where tennis was not that strong. The players weren't as powerful. And here they surprised the world, the women's tour, by hitting the ball hard, and no one had seen that for a while. I mean, before they came on tour, it was Martina Hingis, and we all know that Martina Hingis was kind of a pusher. She kind of was a Wozniacki, a better Wozniacki in my opinion. We had Capriati that was just getting back from her trouble, not really dominant. Steffi Graf, who was at the end of her career. Who else? I mean, I can't remember. So the Williams sisters came in just a time. I don't think you can teach that style, by the way. Let's see, who else? We got a question here. Someone said, when Nadal retires, okay, Gene Schwartz says, when Nadal retires, Djokovic rules the French Open. They might retire at the same time, I think.
Could happen.
All right, Justin, get back here.
I'm coming.
Seriously, Michael Walker says Djokovic could win 4 more Wimbledons, 4 more U.S. Opens, 4 more Australian Open, and a few more Roland Garros. Okay, that's wishful thinking.
Who?
Djokovic. He said he's going to win 4 more Australians, 4 more Wimbledons.
That stop?
No, it's fine. I guess I didn't press play.
All right, just making sure.
Stop taking breaks. Come on.
Man, can a brother go to the restroom?
No.
I've been sitting here for 45 minutes.
So?
Dang.
Men are weak.
Shoot. Brother got to do what a brother got to do.
Michael Walker says Williams sisters are extremely athletic, hit big, and play extremely good defensive. Also, Davenport, who's JCAP? Who's that?
What?
JCAP.
JCAP. Jennifer Capriati.
Oh, Jennifer Capriati hit hard but couldn't play defense. True.
And Jennifer Capriati.
I don't know if our connection is okay. We're still good? Yeah, we're good.
Are you sure? I don't. So again, if we're having connection issues, then sorry. Expected though. Expected. I'm surprised it's gone this long. So that's good news. Let's go. But Jennifer Capriati had hiccups in her young career. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
So she had hiccups in the young career. So when we have hiccups in any career, no matter what it is, it's tougher to get back. Now, like Agassi, did not Jennifer Capriati have a kind of a rough go early on, kind of hiatus, got her mind right, came back and did well.
Right.
Did not Andre Agassi do the same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
So is this a problem with American tennis that when you become, this is a great question. Is that a symbolic of American tennis? You get a young player, they get great, and then all of a sudden they just fall off the map, or they get good or show potential. Who are some of those? Sloane Stephens is kind of one. She won a major and fell off.
Can you shout out and say Svradro? I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name.
I can't even see. Can you shout out and say Zerdavo?
Vladimir.
Let's go. Zerdavo, Vladimir, let's go. Any day, bro. But is that symbolic of some of the American tennis players in the past 20 years? Andy Roddick won a major, was a fighter in there, so I won't call him one of those symbolic type fall offs. We had Agassi that was good and then kind of fell off. We had Capriati, good and kind of fall off. You cannot put Venus or Serena in that category though.
Yeah, true.
Because they were champions. Venus Williams, by the way, is one of my favorite women's tennis players of all time.
That's true. They are approaching 40 and they're still playing in the tour.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the rest of the tour? I mean, if someone mentioned Halep here, but if Halep had half of their strength, she would win a lot more slams.
Oh, and by the way, because we're all like locked up inside, like locked up. I don't know what the percentage on my telephone. We use our telephone for these videos.
Well, we're going to end it soon because I have to go back to coaching.
Oh, we got a 4:00 lesson.
Yeah.
What time is it now?
It's 1:46.
1:45 Central Standard Time.
But I got to do some more other work.
All right. But Venus Williams always handled the court with poise and grace. I never saw Venus Williams break a racket. I never
did that. I saw that famous bump, but that was the other player's fault.
Yeah, I never saw her smash a racket. I never heard her grunt exceptionally loud. There's a difference between a grunt and letting out kind of energy as you hit. It's different than. It's just different.
It is different.
So I don't. There's nothing wrong with hitting the ball and. Because you're expending energy, you're breathing.
Toby Clark says, will Serena win another major?
No.
I hope so.
She won't.
I just hate for her to be at 23. It's not fair. It's just not fair.
I don't think she wins another major.
Have you guys seen her latest photo thing? She was in this leopard dress. It looked like she was back to Serena like 5 years ago. But I never believe magazines because that stuff is Photoshopped.
I don't think she wins another major simply because of a couple of things. Number one,
But
age.
Serena's still getting to finals just by power hitting. Literally,
Yeah,
says Mosh.
But Masha's correct. She's power hitting. But what happens when a tactician comes out there and can use the power to give them back variety? And that's where the problem happens. When the last time when I finally told myself that Serena would not win another major wasn't here now. It wasn't a year ago. It's when she lost to Roberta Vinci at the U.S. Open in the semifinals.
But she won a couple Grand Slams after that.
Well, I understand that. But when it became...
Terry said Clijsters is fat.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true, and not PHAT, pretty hot and tempting. The other one. So when Serena lost to Vinci, I understand she won after that. But when I saw how vulnerable she was, I told myself, when she meets another hard hitter that has variety with the likes of Barty or Andreescu, Osaka, Osaka, I think her mind's too far gone in a different life now. I think she's wrapped up into her video games, her rap boyfriends, her photo shoots, her big sponsorship deals, which will go away soon if she doesn't start winning again. But Serena, when she lost that match, I thought to myself, geez, if a Redzwanska type player, if a Wozniacki type player by the name of Roberta Vinci can come in and beat her and set up. Vinci played Panetta in the final that year, Fognini's girl, and then Panetta won that in like the most boring U.S. Open final.
Stimpy said we can go 3 hours like this. I wish, but I have to do like other work.
and we will do that. So we have a 4 o'clock lesson. No worries, and that's an easy lesson. Well, not easy, but a fun lesson, which makes it easy. But Serena, again, if your mindset is right now, my clothing line, we know she has a clothing line. You have some of her stuff.
Yeah, I just sold a couple things of hers.
Yeah, we found some stuff at garage sales, and it was
I bought this in auction. I bought a whole box of clothes that she sells.
Yeah, it was a whole box, brand new, of Serena Williams clothes, and the wrappers, and then we bought them and then resold them. Actually, I don't think we sold any of them, but one.
Actually, I sold like 4 or 5 pieces.
They're like the most hideous clothes I've ever seen.
I would never wear that.
They're awful.
Awful.
They're like cheetahs with make you look like you're in an evening gown or a pair of PJs, but it's like a blouse. Yeah. Go figure that out. But I don't think she'll ever win one because you can't spend 6 weeks in solitude hanging out with your husbands making makeup videos, or your husband, singular, not plural, and expect to come back and beat some of these hungry girls that are continuously training regardless of what's going on around them.
Yeah,
you just can't.
Mosh says Halep keeps running and she can't get to that level. It's because she has no weapons. There are no weapons there. She's a defensive player. She doesn't know how to switch it like Nadal, Djokovic, or other players do. Clijsters was good at that. Good point, Michael. She can switch it.
And Halep runs laterally 6 feet behind the baseline a lot. She has trouble coming in and cutting off the point, taking her opportunities. She does it, believe me, but when she's playing a player that's pushing her deep, she's like a soccer player, football. She's laterally, left, right, left, right, left, right. And it's a taxing game. Nadal is very good at doing the same type of game. But Nadal around the 2010 area. Do you remember in 2010, Nadal shows up for the U.S. Open looking jacked up? Like, what?
He was like, I will crush you.
I got crush you. He looked like he was straight out of the gym at the local weightlifting spot. But in 2010, Nadal like bolt up like beast mode. I remember during that time frame, people were like, I wonder if he has any substance help here.
Maybe, who knows? Michael Walker says, Serena's tough to get her slim. She has her mother's body, and Venus has her dad's. True, I've met them both personally, went to their house many times. You're absolutely right. Serena's built just like her mother, and Venus looks just like her dad, except she's a girl.
I still love Venus. I really do. As much as I like Serena.
Stimpy says, I like Serena more than Federer. Wow, I'm shocked.
Okay, didn't expect to hear that one.
Jean says, my brother has a crush on Rybakina and Pliskova because of their long legs. I guess everybody has different types.
I like that. And here, this is a good comment by
the Mummy. I call her the Mummy.
Well, look, this is a good comment by Jean Swart, actually. Let's look at Rybakina for a minute, who had a really hot beginning, and she's been hot, and she's been deep. And I think she won a couple of tournaments, I think 2 in a row, at one point this season. Correct me if I'm wrong. But these type of hiatuses from anything develop rust. I think this will hurt someone like Rybakina that's been hot, and now she's not because she doesn't want to be, but because she can't be. So Rybakina, that's a great name drop there.
Milan Eric says, what does Djokovic need for everybody to recognize him as a GOAT? Again,
nothing.
To me, more slant. I mean, for us, nothing. But nothing again, if you look in history, right, and they look who in Jeopardy, we watch Jeopardy, who won the most slams? You always say Federer right now, right?
again, if you're not the everyday tennis fan that gets down and watches shows like this, because most people could care less, we have some students that are really good tennis players. And if you mention someone like David Nalbandian that someone mentioned earlier, they'd be like, who? We have students that are actually pretty good tennis players. And if you mention someone like Wawrinka, they'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who? So, so I think it's a contextual question. I think for the masses of population to recognize Novak Djokovic as the greatest ever at slam count, because that's the only thing us dumb human beings know to look up.
Yeah.
If I'm John Doe fan that sees someone play tennis and goes home and says, you know what, I'm going to start getting into tennis. How do I find out who's the best ever? They're going to go to who's won the most championships, unfortunately. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right,
real quickly, before Rafael Nadal became a thing at the French Open, I'm going to roll off the past 16 years of winners. Okay, the past 16 years, all right? So prior to Rafael Nadal's 2005 championship, here are your French Open winners. 2004, and I'll go backwards, so I don't have to say the year every time. 2004, Gaston Gaudio. 2003, and so on. 2003, Ferrero. Albert Costa, Gustavo Kuerten, Andre Agassi, Carlos Moya, Gustavo Kuerten. He got 3 in there. Kafelnikov. Don't forget about what was his first name? I start with the M.
Who?
Kafelnikov. Kafelnikov was a good player. Kafelnikov, Tomas Muster, Sergi Bruguera won 2 in a row. Jim Courier won 2 in a row. Andres Gomez, the young man from Ecuador, who I think was the only person ever from Ecuador to ever have won a major. I might be wrong there. And Michael Chang in 89. Now, prior to Rafael Nadal, besides Curtin, Courier won a couple, Bruguera won a couple, it's pretty much hit or miss, right? So the whole first topic of the show was, is Dominic Thiem going to be the next king of clay, as Tony Nadal said in one of his latest interviews. I don't think there's any way you can possibly rationalize that being Dominic Thiem because of how high the bar is set. So for 16 years prior to Rafael Nadal, the most someone could pull off was 3, being Curtin, who was a dirt baller specialist in his own right. Courier.
It's Yevgeny Kafelnikov.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janovic.
Thank you. So you had Bruguera in there, Thomas Muster, who is just an absolute beast, but they can only pull off 2 and 3. Thiem has not yet won 1.
I don't even know how we can say that, yeah.
So I think the whole Tony Nadal thing, projecting Thiem to be the next king of clay, is maybe somehow in some way marketable, politicized, get people to his camp, or maybe there was, hey, I'll give you a shout out on my next video if you give me a shout out. We don't do that, by the way. We have people say, hey, give me a shout out. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's just like, some people's ulterior motivations these days are just off the wall. Unless I don't know you, I don't know what you're up to. No offense there, but it's a crazy freaking world out there.
Now the guys are talking about which are the prettiest players.
Who? Women's? I got that.
Milan Eric says, so if everyone ends up at 20, then who's the best? To me, it would be Novak.
It would have to be Novak.
Yeah, you have to give it to him because he has the better records. Absolutely.
If everyone gets to 20, Novak, because
you have to give it to Novak.
That's where head-to-head becomes the tiebreaker.
Yeah, that you have to give it to
That's
Novak.
where the head-to-head in the Masters 1000s comes into play. Yeah. And weeks at number 1. But everything else, unless that number becomes a constant, is pretty much hit or miss and debatable between us, but not for those that don't really... in other words, those on the outside looking in are going to look at that number, who has the most, and that's it.
Sean says, Hanchikova had the most beautiful legs amongst all tennis players. I always thought she had
Daniela Hantuchova?
I always thought she had a problem when she was playing on tour with her weight. She would go from being scarily skinny to then...
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
My number 1 hottie is Sabine Lisicki. Sabicki's built like Carla and has a very similar game. My number 2, Monica Puig. What's up? Puerto Rico, let's go. What is it? Avocados from Puerto
James
Rico.
Sports says curved thighs makes my heart melt.
Let's go.
And Carteri says, I can't believe how heavy Clijsters is.
It's a good point.
Michael Walker says, Kerber has strong legs and body, but she isn't flat like Czech players.
Okay. All right. So I'm going with Monica Puig.
And then Sir John says, no, sexiest legs, Jelena Jankovic. And
Okay,
then he said, but sexiest, Ivanovic.
So Yankovic.
Kornikova, best body, Michael Walker. How did we get into this?
I don't like the blondies. I don't like this. All right, look, okay.
Julia Gorgas.
Don't forget about Anna Ivanovic. Anna Ivanovic is okay. I can't believe we even forgot about this.
Sabatini and Ivanovic would be, to me, the two prettiest.
Anna Ivanovic, number 1 of all time. Has to be. Anna Ivanovic?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But look at her now. She has not aged well.
But she's still
She
all
looks
right.
pretty dry. Something happened to her after marriage.
Sabatini's still looking good.
The husband sucked her life out.
Who? Anna Ivanovic?
She does not look as good as she used to when she played tennis.
Didn't Anna Ivanovic marry like a hockey player or something?
I don't know, but he must have sucked everything out of her because she just looks deflated.
She's a hottie though.
She was.
I didn't.
You look at Kornikova, I agree with you.
Yeah, I didn't.
She still looks the same, Michael Walker. She still looks as good as she did as before. But some ladies, something happens to them when they get married.
I didn't think Kornikova was that hot.
I thought she was. I met her personally.
I like the dark girls. I don't like the blondes.
But I agree with you. I like blondies. But
See, I like the dark girls.
She looks still the same as she looked as before. Some girls don't age well. Yankovic, yeah, great legs, but that's about it.
Yeah, there's too much drama in the blondies. I like the dark girls. The darker the better. You know, I just love that. Anna Ivanovic, let's go.
Right,
brown hair, brown eyes, beautiful.
Yes, I agree.
Helena Yankovic, okay. But
Sabatini still looks the same.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, we're going to end the show because we're like just talking about bodies now.
That's all right. I love the topic, though.
By the way, I got to say that Djokovic is aging good. I didn't like him when he first came out, but he looks better now. So I give him that. Nadal, not aging well.
All right, I'm almost getting done on the sheet here.
Someone said predictions for the, Toby Clark says, predictions for the rest of the slams except Roland Garros because it's going to be canceled. Sending love from the UK. Let's go.
Djokovic. Wimbledon Djokovic and the U.S. Open Djokovic. Only because of his fitness level. He eats a very good diet. I know a lot of us can't, quite afford to buy certain things to eat in certain ways, but we know that he can, and he pays close attention to that. I don't know about the rest of the field behind him and how close they pay attention to diet. Surely it's very important to all of them. I know Roger Federer has always had this superstition of eating a thing of spaghetti prior to every match. My dad's a retired doctor, and I've talked to a lot of other nutritionists and stuff that think that's pretty a piss poor decision. There's a lot of other things you can eat priyer to than a heavy dose of pasta.
I know why he does that. That's an old-fashioned thing. When I play tournaments, you ate pasta. It would keep you full and it keep you energized.
It's kind of like taking a capsule. Like, you take a Tylenol and you get a gelatin coating. It kind of wears off over time and it sustains whatever relief you're looking for longer. So it's kind of the same premise. You eat spaghetti and here's the pasta. It's gonna give you.
I don't even eat spaghetti.
It's gonna give you calorie release throughout.
I'm hungry.
However, there's so many more things. Natural fruits, bananas. I know bananas sometimes are even overused because some players have problems with the stomach with bananas. Mm-hmm. The fiber, and I think it's still relatively low in a banana, but sometimes it can cause you stomach issues. So
Gene says try Polish sausages; they taste good.
Can you imagine? That's funny. Could you imagine like sitting up on the court? You're like in a 5-set match. Other players like exhausted, sitting down and getting their juice that Nadal always straightens up. Homeboy on the left side whips out a freaking bratwurst and a Polish sausage, like dumping some mustard on it.
Hey, I like the New York hot dogs. They're good.
Yeah.
Sir John says, agree with Justin. Djokovic. 25 Grand Slams later, Djokovic. I don't know about 25.
I don't know about 25 either. It could happen, but again, his dedication.
And Juice says, Djokovic, come on, double crisscross. Let's go.
Maybe all the American players can whip out McDonald's hamburgers when
Jamaican
they change
beef patties. I love Jamaican. Michael Walker in New York at school, they used to serve us Jamaican beef patties. I loved it. They don't do that anymore. Now I'm getting hungry because we haven't eaten lunch yet.
When I was in school, they used to serve stop sign pizzas, but I would always hit the snack machines and put in 50 cents, and I would buy like a thing of like Now and Laters or Gobstoppers, and I'd sell them in the hallway to other people for like double my money. So then the next day I'd come back to school with like $4, and then I'd buy like all the candy, and then when kids would get hungry in class, they'd be like, man, let me get one of those. It'd be like 50 cents. They'd be like, all right, I got it right here. Boom, come out, bank rolling, awesome Gobstoppers. Now and Laters were hot though. Mambas, don't forget about Mambas. I can sell the Mambas. All right, real quickly, the last 15 French Open champions on the women's side. Okay, the last 15, starting with the very last one being Ashley Barty. All right, here we go. Ashley Barty, Simona Halep, Helena Ostapenko, Garbine Muguruza, Serena Williams, then Maria Sharapova, then Serena again, and then Maria Sharapova, then Li Na. What's up, Li Na? I hope she's well, because she had a, you said the hottest tennis players. She had a really good, strong body too, though. Just saying. Schiavone, the mighty Screecher herself. She's a Screech Open champion. That one. Schiavone, Kuznetsova, who was a grunt Hall of Famer in her own right. Anna, the beautiful girl Ivanovic. Oh, how I love you so.
That unfortunately, that French Open ruined her
the one and
career.
done. The one and done. Who else has done?
Hey, Ian, I do see a lot of your questions, but really, I can't answer half of those questions because it's not really relevant.
Answer
no, these questions are not related to tennis.
Not
it's
related
dumb.
to the positive outcome.
Yes.
She just called them dumb. Dang.
I didn't call him dumb, and they're dumb. I can't answer that.
Why don't you ask one anyway? As long as it's not got curse words, let's just see
what is your opinion on this virus? Is one, which was the PG one.
Okay, no, that's a good question, but we have discussed it before, and we have gotten some correspondence that says we can't do that, and I understand that why, because how do people understand what's real and what's not?
So John says, guys, we should do shows like this more often. We will.
All right, I left off with Lina and Schiavone and Kuznetsova, the lovely Anna Ivanovic. Justine Henin with the 3 in a row. Let's go.
I love Justine.
I know there's some gray area why she retired so young, but look, I was around Justine Henin 2 years in a row. I got to hit with some of her team, and she was a very pleasant girl. And I never noticed anything about her that showed that maybe her fitness was maybe compromised or elevated by something. But what do I know? I don't know. Anyway, but she won 3 in a row. Who would you say the king or queen rather? Who would you say the queen of clay would be?
Chris Evert.
Chris Evert was 7.
Yeah.
Would you put Justine Henin in there with 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Chris Evert has.
What about Steffi Graf with 6?
Oh yeah, then you would have to put Chris, Steffi, and then Justine.
Why did Chris Evert frustrate Steffi Graf and Martina Navratilova? At least on this surface, she was able to frustrate them.
Who, Chris Evert?
Chris Evert, yeah.
Because she has such a defensive game.
Defensive game.
Shots.
With the likes of Radzwanska.
And remember, Steffi Graf had that one-handed slice, so it was tougher.
So Chris Evert was able to do the same thing to Navratilova as Rafael Nadal did to Roger Federer. Similar? Is that similar? I mean, is it similar enough to make it understand why sometimes on clay a defensive player has problems with a more offensive player? Mm-hmm. Is it synonymous?
Panetta was the luckiest to win a Grand Slam. Yes, beating Vinci. All right, guys.
All right, that's it, guys. Not big. We can sit here all day. We love to talk tennis. We do. However, we have a couple of lessons to teach this afternoon. In comments, please let us know how this went. Hopefully, it went great. Much love to all of you. But that's it. I had a really good time with that one. Let's go. Let's get down. When's our next show?
Someone said real quick, sorry for being personal, what do you think about your children's tennis future? I think that 2 of my kids have a big shot. I'm hoping my 7-year-old gets inspired to do it. She looks like she is.
I'm going to be dead honest with that one because I don't believe in bullshit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell it like it is, like I tell even my oldest boy to his face.
What's the first thing you teach in tennis before we get to that question?
I'm going to go back to that one because I'm on that thought process. Mm-hmm. My oldest son, love him to death. What's up, Jonathan? He already has full ride scholarships to multiple colleges.
He started tennis
not because of tennis, but because
he started too late.
Because of academics, and he's in ROTC. He loves flying airplanes. He loves the military thing. So my son, my oldest son, Jonathan, he can play with anybody. He can go out there and take a set off of Carly. He can go out there and take a set off of me. But when you put him in 2 out of 3 sets,
he don't have it.
He doesn't have it mentally to go through. So Jonathan is a phenomenal player. This is my 17, soon to be 18-year-old, but he has no shot at D1 college or above. No shot.
No shot. No.
Just does not. Believe me, I know. I've been there.
Well, he's not even trying to. There's no passion.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah,
There's no passion. He doesn't have passion for the game.
If you push him too hard, he just gets pissed off, and he's like, I don't care anyway. Mm-hmm. But he has proved his worth by making a 30 on the ACT.
He did it in 4 years. He started tennis in 9th grade, so he's done tennis. If he would have started younger, he probably would have had a shot. But
and we didn't mean to not start him younger. Carla and I were full-time coaches and still kind of are, but in our own right. But then we were working for others, so we would coach other people's kids all day long. I would stay in the pro shop and string rackets until the freaking cows came home and sheep were jumping over the moon. My fingers bleeding for like $8 an hour, whatever. And then go home, and so there wasn't much time to teach the kids, but I still had my oldest son and active, high-intensity baseball. I never was a really great baseball player. I played some, but I wanted him involved with something, and tennis wasn't capable.
No, and that's why I don't force it on him, Michael. I don't force it on him. I don't train.
I tried.
I stopped training my 2 oldest boys a long time ago because they don't love it. I was, my father forced me into it, and I hated it, and then I loved it. I will never force a kid to play a sport that they don't want to.
But Mike,
but he can play it forever.
But Mike, there was times, and Carla, you call me on bullshit if I'm wrong, but there was times, especially Jonathan earlier on, when I was just teaching the pronation and to serve, he'd go out on the court and double fault like 19 times, literally 19 freaking times.
Now he can ace you.
No, but I would get so mad at him. I wouldn't get on him, like grab him or hurt him, but I would be in his face. I'm like, how can you do that? And his reaction to that was like, I don't really even care. And then I would get even madder. I'd be like, how can you not care what your mom and dad have done their whole life? How can you not care? But then I realized that it was just maybe too late for him. Now, our second oldest is now 15, soon to be 16.
He doesn't care for the game as well.
He's a really good player, though. He's super smart. He can go out and play with anybody. He can return anything. He can play anything. He puts points together. He's a wonderful tactician. But this kid's a musician. He spends like
hours playing on the guitar.
Not just hours, like 7 and 8 hours a time. He'll go, I'll take him to the tennis court, we'll play a set, we'll drill, we'll do drills, and he puts in like 50% energy. I'll get mad at him. I'm like, come on, man. Wake up, start fighting. And I've done this for years with him. And he is a good player, but when he comes off the court, after me yelling and blowing 50 million blood vessels in my face, I come back here. He goes upstairs, and he goes and shuts the door in his room, and he literally plays his guitar for 6 hours.
Yeah, there are many sports out there, but they're not interested in that. Jonathan already has his college. Christopher, he's a straight-A student, ranked second in his school. Very smart musician, so I don't force the tennis on him. Now to the 10-year-old.
Now, the 10-year-old girl, Liliana, who did a video with us about the prize giveaways.
Hello, Tatara.
What's up? There's many videos of our young Liliana playing, and we don't put too many out there. The problem with us putting videos about our children out there playing is that if they don't play well, I don't want anybody to see it. Mm-hmm. I don't want anyone to check out my kids' goods unless they're playing well. And the thing when you teach your own kids, they're always in a rebellious mindset. So you'll take them out.
That's my twin, yes.
So you
Thank you for loving our channel, Tatara.
So let's love. Vamos, let's go. What is love in Spanish? Te amo mucho? Te amo?
Te amo mucho.
Or yo quiero? No, that's I want.
No, te amo.
So the problem with filming our kids, and we used to do it a lot, and this was about a year or two ago, and I would get yelled at. Carlo would be like, turn the damn camera off, and my kids would be like, stop. And when you're not playing well, you don't want anybody to see it. And that's why a lot of our students, their kids are getting ready to put in college applications or a couple years down the road, and they want to all of a sudden do this video. Let's video my kids. I'm like, no, don't video them yet.
Michael Walker says that the youngest has the most talent, yes.
Yeah, yes, and I agree here, and we're going to go down that line too there. So we finished the 2 oldest boys. Now we're at the middle girl, the oldest girl. She's 10.
Thank you, Maj.
And her name is Liliana. We trained her from 6, so she's played 4 years now. One-handed backhand, aggressive game, serving big, never teaching her with the pressureless ball. We have never, by the way, in the 5K tennis history, never, and I repeat, never used a green dot ball, an orange ball, a red ball, or anything. The mindset here is we're going to teach you how to hit a damn tennis ball the way we were raised before there was any of these stupid pressureless balls. We're going to learn to hit it and hit it well. Now, Liliana is a solid player for 10 years old. Downright one of the better players I've ever seen at 10 years old.
But, she can serve, yeah.
But her problem is she pouts.
Yeah. But she'll be homeschooled next year. She will be homeschooled.
She's a pouter.
She'll be homeschooled for 3 years, which I told her we will be on the court for many, many, many hours because for me or for us, the goal is Division I scholarship.
Man, the goal for Liliana is her to be challengers by 16. Well, I don't forget about all that stuff.
In my head, I know how tough it is. So I say, we're going to make you really good. You're going to spend hours on this court at the same time studying. But for you, it's more open because you will have that chance to train.
So the problem with Liliana is when she misses a couple of the balls, she goes from being one of the guys, and when I say one of the guys, she's very much like her mother. She's super strong. Lily's legs are like, boom. She's super built. She competes with any boy at her school and beats them badly, whether it's running a mile or whether it's sprints or whether it's soccer or whatever it is. She destroys them and has, over the past couple of years of elementary school, gotten some boys really mad at her to the point where the boys would call her racial slurs. I won't get into that here. But some of my kids get that here in this area. They get called, Mexican or what, even though they're not. But we get that. We deal with it too. But they call her that, and she comes home upset about it, pouting about it. We're like, you know what? Next time, beat them worse. Anyway, we've dealt with that, but she's really good on the tennis court. But when she pouts,
we don't force it on her. She thinks in her head that she should be better. She gets angry that she doesn't do good.
She hits a clean.
She gets angry. For her, it's not good enough. You tell her, Lily, that was a great shot. She's like, no, it's not. She thinks she can do better. She's
aggressive. She knows when to move. She knows where to go. Sometimes her footwork is a little off. All right, so out of the 5 kids, we got to the third one. Liliana, I think, has a big potential. But nonetheless, let's be honest. We have grown up in this game, and it's a lightning strike no matter how hard you work. So with that said, let's just be honest. I think she has potential.
I'm not looking at pros. I never do for anyone. But I think that she has way better chance than my 2 older ones.
All right, so on to the 4th one. Our 7-year-old, Gabriella, as we named after Gabriella Sabatini. She's a dear, sweet soul. My father, 82 years young, has always had this exceptional mind. And I mean that humbly. He's always been into books and writing and music and coaching tennis and playing it and so forth. Gabriella has my father's mind. She's 7, but she's outside reading old English books on the front porch. We just picked up a book this morning on the front porch. I didn't even know it was out there. And I'm like, what book is that? And she was like, oh, Gabriella read it. And I'm like, well, what book is it? Because it's really big. And the print is like Old English, and it's not abridged. And it was like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So I'm like, geez, my 7-year-old's reading this. So she plays, and we make her play. She's tall like me. I'm 6'1 plus, and I'm thin framed. And Gabriella's the same way. She got my body type, not hers. So when she hits, she has trouble bringing a racket around. So
which is why I put the 2 hands.
We put the second hand on her racket. And now she can hit all day long. But when it comes to right now overall getting in her face like I do Liliana, like, what are you doing? Come on, hit the ball. Stop hitting. Move your feet. Let's go.
You can't do that.
I do that to Lily, but if I do it to Gabby, she backs away. So I want to keep it
that record a tennis match between you and post it on. Well, he can't really.
We did that though.
We have some.
We have some. So if you say you want to see us hit, just look at some of the playlist. Some of it's kind of antiquated. Before I blew out my patellar tendon, again, I had a life-changing injury to my knee. Rajesh out there was a big part of helping us get through that.
He says, I like Gabriella because Novak's her favorite player.
Yeah. So but anyway, I had a life-changing injury on October 22nd of last year. I had surgery on November the 1st. I was told it would take me 18 months to recover. I'm back playing tennis already at 5 months. But again, my quad muscle in my right leg will not allow me to run very fast or to jump very high. But if you go to playlists and look up, I think it's Justin and Carla hitting. So I'm not an expert at this stuff, but if you go to our channel and go to playlists, I think, I'm pretty sure because I spent some time making them. If you go to 5K tennis lessons and practice or 5K tennis stringing, or Justin and Carla hitting or fails, you can see Carla and I hitting 1,000 balls back and forth, not matches, because we've never had someone with my cell phone to be able to stand back and do it right. But there's plenty of hitting out there. And look at our YTech Strings videos. I'm not pushing the brand. I'm just really good friends with.
I do teach a 2-hander to my little guy.
Yeah.
Going back to it, Gabriella does 2-hander. Now going to the little one, he does do 2 and 1.
Yeah, the little guy, the 4-year-old, we passed Gabby. So the littlest one, the 4-year-old Justin, that's my junior. I'm JPD 1, he's JPD 2. He has a beast little game for 4-year-old. He's built like mom, but taller. His legs are like boom. And this morning, before our first lesson, I had him out there early, hitting one-handed backhands at 4. Had him near the service line area, was dropping balls, and he would hit, correcting his grip, and he was thumping them over the net routinely. Boom, boom, boom. And then I would put a second hand on it, and he would hit that too. Why do I teach both? Because it helps them feel the slice too. With the one hand on there, it doesn't get their hands stuck in condition to be on that grip. So that way, if you need 2 hands, you can use it. And that way, if I'm going to slice it, I can slide the hand up and I can slice it over, drop shots, etc. So I want him to feel comfortable with both. But he at 4 can already hit.
He hits him clean. I don't even have to correct. He knows the left hand up, go, hit, follow through. So he has the most potential.
Yeah, and if you want to see a 4-year-old hit, there's a playlist out there that I think is called Little Boy Justin, and you can click there, and there's videos.
But that's not even close to what he hits.
Yeah, but I mean, some of them are antiquated, but nonetheless, they're all developing. But out of the 5 children, which ones have potential, in my opinion, even though they can all play the game pretty well, is the 10-year-old girl and the 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And the latter ones, because we were coaching under people's roofs. We were employed by them, and we would get home and not have the time. But now we do it on our own, so we have been able to adjust our schedules accordingly to get them involved.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I know we have other questions, but we really gotta go.
Okay, since we have a ton of questions and a lesson is knocking, I'm going to end this with this question to everyone out there. If this was okay with you guys and it was clear enough to do so, granted that I think all of us will be very limited in our movement, can we please come up with some type of consensus of what time to do this moving forward? So that way we can maybe schedule it, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. But maybe we can do this at X time on X day moving forward. I think tomorrow is a good day for us. I don't think we have a lot of lessons tomorrow, do we?
I have to look at my schedule.
Maybe 1 or 2, but I think if we can come up with a good time tomorrow, and you guys can write down your questions and not think,
Tatara said this time is cool.
So 12 o'clock, what time did we start? Around 12 or 1 maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So around 12 or 1 Central Standard Time here in Central Time Zone.
He said during the virus because everything's closed, Michael Walker said.
We do it what?
Well, yeah, everything's closed right now, so I guess for Michael Walker, anytime's good.
Yeah, and again, we have to understand, too, that there are 12%, last time I checked, of our viewers are in Serbia. I think 10% are in the UK, and I think 10% is in Australia. And I know the time...
Sir John says same here, time is good. So,
all right.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys,
all right, guys.
We really have a lot of fun doing this, and we really appreciate it. It's really kind of a messed up time economically. But if it's not for you guys, we don't do this. So it's family love, nothing but that. Always.
Marsh said this is a good time. Sundays or Mondays or Tuesdays. Okay.
Remember, it's not about numbers here. It's about quality. That's it, and that's how it will always remain. This is
cheers for Morocco, says Maj.
Let's go. Morocco. Let's get down. That's on the African continent, right?
We have somebody that left in Dauphin Island, and they're stuck in Morocco right now.
Oh, shoot. All right, everyone, much love. We will see you tomorrow around the same time frame, if that's cool. All right? Adios, much love. Vamos, let's get down.
I have a lesson tomorrow at 1. So
okay, so that won't work. Who's our lesson at 1?
Teresa.
Oh, she's a good lesson, too.
Yeah.
So maybe 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Or before that?
Before that.
Okay, we'll do it before. So maybe it's at 1?
Justin, next time show your Raja tattoo.
Oh, you want to do it now?
Go ahead before we close out.
I'll do it.
No,
you might have to move the camera.
You guys are going to laugh. There it is.
Uh-oh. Did they see it?
Yes, they saw it.
All right, you got it.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
I don't know how you...
Yeah.